This meeting is being recorded.
All right, thank you guys for tuning in to the Be Insightful in Technology podcast. I'm your host, Shakiria Johnson, also known as Shy, and I'm here to help you gain knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to be insightful in technology. So today I have a very interesting guest. I met them through someone who was already on the podcast, and they referenced her to come on. So I'm intrigued to learn a little bit more about what she does, how her day-to-day looks, and just how did she get into what she is in now. So I'm going to let her introduce herself, and hopefully we can get started in this podcast.
Hi, Shai. Thanks for having me. I'm ZsaVette Ellie Eze, and I'm a project management professional by trade, but I'm currently entitled a senior customer solutions manager at Amazon Web Services.
Okay, so what does your day-to-day really look like as you said senior customer? What was it again?
Yeah, I know, right? It's a lot. We love of acronym. So I'm a senior CSM, so a senior customer solutions manager at Amazon Web Services. So we go senior CSM at AWS, and essentially what my job is to empower and take our customers in media and entertainment from data centers into the cloud. So basically taking their strategic initiatives and then making them executable plans and then working with them to, programmatically take their workloads into the cloud.
Would you say your role is more on that technical side since you're interfacing with like all different types of people?
Absolutely. The CSM is a technical role in nature. We're literally under the solutions architect family at Amazon Web Services. We have to have a solutions architect associate certification. I'm a certified cloud practitioner. So essentially we do work with them to solution out their workloads and products into the cloud.
Oh, okay. So since you mentioned like the certification you would need, like the Solutions Cloud, you said practitioner.
So there's a cloud practitioner, which is a foundational cloud certification. Anybody can get it. And then there's the solutions architect associate, and then solutions architect professional, and then so on and so forth as far as the specialty certifications are concerned. And so yeah, our role is technical in nature.
Okay. So when it comes to like the education that you needed to do your role, because you were on the project manager track and then you found this role, how long have you been into it, and like what educational background did you need for it?
Absolutely. So I come from a financial services technology or fintech background. And so everything I've ever done, even from my bachelor's degree, is a technical management. It's technical in nature. So I have intermediate to advanced knowledge of technology systems, what it looks like to take an idea to an actual product and service and deploy it, right, for consumption by consumers via the internet, data center migrations, everything, soup to nuts. And so my background is essentially foundational in that I help, again, organize teams around specific ideas and technology solutions to get them deployed. And so project manager, again, from certification, but I think it is absolutely necessary for someone working in a software company or technology company, software as a service, to have some, advanced to, experience knowledge of what technology even means, and how we basically create, again, an idea to an actual package solutions for sale.
Okay. So what is the most exciting thing about your job so far?
Every day looks different. I think that has always been what I love about working in technology. What I love about working with people is that some days I might be working with the platform team. Some days I'm working with the front end user experience team. Some days I'm working with our quality team to troubleshoot and look at a specific issue that our customers are experiencing out in the real world, and how do we solve and work backwards to rectify that issue. So every day looks different, and I'm just naturally, inclined to work with people and support them and coach them and work on hugely transformational issues. That is usually what my day looks like. Other days, I may be leading, a learning series, right? So talking about how, a specific product works, in partnership with our architects or learning and development organization. I could be leading an ID&E initiative talking about inclusion and diversity in the workplace, and mentoring people. So every day looks really different. And that's one of the things I love about, my role and luckily the companies that I've worked for.
Okay. So you get to be involved in many different aspects. Does it ever feel like overwhelming, or is it something that you see as fun and entertaining? Like it's really something you enjoy?
Some days can absolutely be overwhelmed, and they certainly, make me work for my salary. Uh, and then there are other days where it, doesn't feel like work. It actually absolutely feels like, my passion and, part of what I'm here for and why God has blessed me with the, skills and tools and wherewithal to do what I do on a daily basis.
Okay. So I've always wanted to ask people, like, what is your long-term goal? Like, what is that end position or end role that you're looking to do? It doesn't have to necessarily be like at the company you're at, but it's just something that you aspire to get to.
Yeah, I think for everybody, including myself, I don't want to, be a hypocrite, right? I think every year or every 2 to 3 years, right, that vision for the next step changes in my career. So right now, I want to go back into people leadership, right? I love managing teams. It's inherently, who I am. I'm always a coaching person, right? I always want to help people be the best possible version of themselves and feel like I am contributing to their success. So for me, in this 2022 timeframe, is going back into people leadership, leading teams and teams of people in a functional manner. And then as far as like advice or, other folks, I think again, you kind of always want to make sure you have this next step vision for yourself. And then what are you actually doing to prepare yourself for that opportunity? Because I feel like what you do intrinsically is fantastic. I believe that I'm a great leader, but are you doing the work, right, to allow yourself to move into that role is hugely important. Change happens not just from within, it's actually by the work and preparedness that we do in this world.
Oh, I like that. That felt deep. This is just like, it is very common to like at least change roles and move up every 2 to 3 years in the tech industry. And it's like, it's kind of at this point, if you don't move, what are you doing? So
I actually just, shared this with my personal network about, upper mobility and changing jobs. And, a story I told them is that there's a role I was interested in, and I wanted to have an exploratory conversation with a leader. And I reached out and I said, hey, I really want to learn more about this opportunity. And, they accepted, my request for like a coffee and conversation is what I normally title them. You're welcome. So they accepted. And later on in an internal like Slack channel that maybe they didn't know I was a part of, they commented, hey, I've got this really great candidate. I'm like, wait, I think that might be me. And they said, well, she's got, great skills, blah, blah, blah. But her job history looks spotty. I was like, spotty? Yeah, she's, only been at roles, 2 to 3 years. And I'm thinking, 2 to 3 years at a role is spotty. Interesting. So I said, hey, and then I happened to see a GIF or a meme or something from Twitter where someone said, Gen Z, job hopping is going to be a failure for them. And then someone else responded to it saying, hey, I just changed jobs in the past 2 years and I went from 41 to 56 to 68, hybrid role, expansive benefits with leadership opportunities, all in a 2-year time frame. And it's like, don't listen to them. And I said, you know what? I am actually going to underscore Gen Z here and say, yes. And there have been, documented case studies that say employees see upwards to a 30% pay increase by changing jobs. And so I don't necessarily subscribe to, maybe baby boomer mentality, or, even before that mentality that you have to stay at a company, for, greater than 5-6 years to really see yourself as, a professional, well respected, great at your craft, and to see promotions. I think that you can possibly do that, but it's not guaranteed. Oftentimes, employees only see upwards to 10% pay increases year over year, and that's kind of a max year over year by staying at the same employer. So I think that I encourage people that if you're happy in your current role and you feel like you're successful, you're empowered to be successful, you feel included, validated, and you truly enjoy your team and your work, by all means, right? And your current station in life allows live your best life based on what you're paid. Stay where you're at. Fantastic. But if there is still this inkling of I can do more, I want more, I may not feel included, this other opportunity might be a stretch for me, I might be a little scared to leap and go to the next one, I encourage people to run towards what scares them. Because oftentimes that is where you're going to see that stretch in your career. That is where you're going to see that growth, is by exploring those opportunities. And again, it's all documented. You can Google it, right? 30% pay increase is normally what, individuals in America saw by going to, even sometimes lateral roles, not necessarily a role in promotion, but a lateral role. They saw a 30% pay increase. So, I even challenge employers to look at their compensation models. If we want to keep great employees doing great things at your company, we probably want to compensate them well.
Oh yeah, I feel like you cannot grow in your comfort zone.
You cannot. You cannot.
I feel like, what is it, coming in early career, like new to corporate and trying to get an understanding like how all this works. Like before all of this, I was in fast food, and like it felt like the manager would give raises to whoever she felt like, and it would just be like a quarter, So
I remember those days.
So like coming into the corporate life and seeing that you can earn as much as you really like feel like you desire just by going for those positions and asking for what you need and what you want, even, that was a big shift for me. And it was just eye-opening to the fact that, like, okay, it feels like I'm doing less work in the corporate world than I was in fast food.
Well, I mean, it's more laborious, right?
Yeah.
Right. From a physical perspective, you're absolutely exerting more physical energy, usually in fast food restaurants, right? That was my first job. Shout out to McDonald's, which was right behind my high school. That was my first job. As soon as I turned 16, literally the same week after school, I walked over and filled out an application at the McDonald's, and that's where I worked. My junior year of high school. So I overstand what that life feels like. But certainly to your point about salaries, again, I also encourage young folks to look at their salary packages and do your research and make sure, right, at a minimum, you're asking for information around the compensation package that was offered to you, and challenging that. Maybe, based on your research and for your skill set and for, the requirements of that role, you're seeing X amount of dollars in bonuses and other, right, compensation models available for it. I encourage you to do the research. I encourage you to ask good questions, be data driven in your questions, and negotiate your salaries when you get offers. Always.
that is one of the things I am still learning and just getting more confident in doing, because I came from like the area where it's just like you take what you get and you don't fit your fit. But
really excited, right? Some of us, and myself included, you've never seen, a 5-figure or 6-figure salary offer, total comp come your way, and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing, right? But at the same time, again, to our earlier conversation about pay increases, once you come in at that level, the likelihood of you seeing, a greater than 10% bump in the next year or even 2 years is pretty slim,
Mhm.
right? Unless there is some significant, promotion or, change in responsibility, greater responsibility. It's very unlikely. So you really want to be, a great negotiator out the door, so you feel good and confident in the role going forward, and you don't really feel like you've been, shorted, if you will.
Yeah, it's all about the confidence and not being afraid to ask for what you want.
Yeah, be fearless, man. I did a panel recently, and they talked about, what are the 3 words, to describe yourself, and it was a panel of all, women of color, and resiliency and fearless pretty much reign true for all of us on the executive panel. And I think, again, for, people, going into technology, regardless of, race, gender, um, even socioeconomic status, you have to be fearless. Technology, the technology industry in general, is not for the weak, right? It is very aggressive. It's very intentional. It requires you to use your voice in rooms, and it is absolutely, necessary, to be successful, because when you're in a room with your teams and you're trying to solution for something, or you're building a plan, or you're committing to a body of work, it is absolutely necessary to be fearless and ask the question that nobody else wants to ask. Hey guys, like, why are we doing this again? Right? And why do we feel like we can do it in a 6 weeks, time frame, or 3 week sprint? Have we done this before? Is a client asking for it to be delivered this quickly? So just asking the questions that nobody else has asked, that you feel like everybody wants to ask, will absolutely, be necessary in those spaces. And then resiliency, in that, you're not going to always get the promotion. You're not going to always be the person that gets, picked to work on a special project. But the ability to keep doing the great work, to build, allies, to seek out mentors and sponsorship, to volunteer for other projects that might give you that necessary exposure and growth opportunity, is necessary. It's not going to always be yes. I got plenty of no's, but there also came like the big yes down the road.
I feel like the yes down the road is worth it. Like going through plenty of no's, it may like, bring you down for a moment, but if you can pick back up and, have that resilience and be fearless and keep going, that yes is gonna be the best thing ever.
It is, and it will eventually come. And I think that's what, when we were talking earlier, it's like faith without works. It's like sitting in the house and just constantly, just applying for jobs, but you're not really reaching out to the recruiters. You're not going to the network functions, right? You're not posting your thought leadership on Twitter or LinkedIn. Like, hey, I just saw this new technology solution. Here's how I think it'd be great by developing this particular application. Here's what I think is a great integrator here. I just got this certification on my own free time, right? There's so many things you can do in the between time to further your cause, right? And I think just a lot of people, don't do that. And I encourage everybody to go above and beyond in that space.
That's it. You motivational speak on the side.
No, I listen. I feel like it is my duty to be the type of person that I needed when I was youth shy, right? When I just started and I was an only woman in the room. I certainly was the only person of color in the room. And I did not see any other persons of color in executive leadership that I could reach out to. And so that is what motivates me to share nuggets and to mentor, even if it's like I can't mentor everybody, right? But I always try to give spot mentoring where possible. And anytime someone says, Jacques, can you please refer me to this role? Absolutely. It takes me less than 5 minutes to do one small thing. And so many people have actually gotten jobs, right, by doing that type of stuff. So that is the payback to me. And I feel like that's the positive deposit into, karma in the universe, for myself, by being a person that, I needed growing up.
Look, we all need someone who was where we were at.
Absolutely. Absolutely, we do.
And honestly, I appreciate you for giving back. I even appreciate you for coming on to the podcast and like talking about your experience, what you need to get there. And also just, motivating us who felt like we may have not had a chance. Like, I felt like that after high school when it's just like my internship ended, I wasn't in school. It was
Mhm.
very a rough period. It felt like forever, but when I look back, it was only a couple months. But like that whole downturn, it's like I needed someone to keep me motivated and tell me like, hey, keep going for it, keep pushing for it, because if not, I wouldn't have been in the position that I am today. Like, I really appreciate people who are willing to give back, and I enjoy the fact that is more of us out there.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful, affirming thing to see in this world. So many, people of color, BIPOC women, right? Even just LGBTQ, plus folks in leadership executive positions, putting forth their, authentic selves and how they show up in this world. I love to see, even on LinkedIn now, so many people saying, hey, I'm trans. I am now, they, them. I'm now she, her, right? Right. He, him. And my name is X, Y, right now. I love it. And I love that, even though there are those that are negative voices, there's so many other positive voices that drown out, the hate in this world. So I think it's a great space for us now. I think there's still a lot more work to do as we move forward. I think there's still, systemic issues in corporate America, in the technology space, that need to be torn down. I believe that, young folks like yourself coming up absolutely are blazing trails and being your unapologetic selves in corporate spaces. And I think it inspires even, folks like myself to do more, so that, you all don't have to, hopefully, deal with some of the macro and microaggressions that, we had to face and even, still face today.
Oh yeah, I like that. What is it? I've noticed kind of like the Gen Z thing, we're more vocal. And I'm taking it back to like when I was raised and like younger, we were told to, express how you feel, like closed mouths don't get fed. So, you need to speak up, like you need to say what you feel, or it's like nobody's gonna know what's wrong with you if you don't ever say anything. So
Correct.
it's just like, for me to hear that, like growing up the whole time, it's like, okay, that's what's expected. You're supposed to talk, you're supposed to say what you want to say. And then it's just like, it's so different from other generations. So
Oh, polar opposite. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think yes, using your voices. And I think what's also changed is that there are spaces that allow for your, outspokenness, right? Your assertiveness to thrive, comparative to, how, the environments were growing up, right? Financial services, was very buttoned up, suit and tie, right? And so to see things change in that environment to be a lot more inclusive and open and relaxed, like jeans in a financial services group was unheard of, right? And so now to see folks, in spaces with t-shirts and blazers and jeans on is pretty amazing, just to see the transformation even in that space. Or executives with, tattoos and right body piercings, like you just never saw that stuff. Or a vice president with purple hair, like that just did not exist when when I was first starting up my career. So it's really great to see the level of authenticity and the ability to speak up and bring your true voice at work, right, is really important.
honestly, I really appreciate that, even higher ups that are taking that step to be authentic, be themselves. It's really encouraging to us coming in. Like, we're going to come in as ourselves. Like, it's like, if I don't get this position because, they didn't like my hair, I'll just move on to the next. There's so many other things out there, but it's different when you do see yourself, you know, represented. It really is.
Listen, your hair is beautiful, and I don't know why anybody would focus on how, you know, your hair as it naturally grows out of your head, right, would be a reason not to offer you, you know, a career opportunity to contribute to their organization, which is why I think, you know, acts like the Crown Act being, you know, passed in America is so very important, because we should not be discriminated. You should never have to think about the fact that you weren't offered a role because of how your hair naturally grows, you know, out of your head. So that's all I'll say on that.
Yeah, that is a huge topic. Like, I didn't really experience, I feel like maybe I didn't pay attention to it much because I love how I look. I transitioned from like the perm to natural like middle school time.
Mhm,
So for me, it felt, normal.
mhm.
And then once I started seeing more people in like those higher positions who like didn't have, the hair like me and all that stuff, it was just like, okay, do I belong here? But that is a whole nother discussion.
It is, and I'm happy to come back and we can we can talk about the Crown Act. I would love it.
But what is it? I forgot to ask you. So where can
Mhm.
the people find you, like social media and everything? Where are you located at? If people can just, follow you, subscribe to what you got.
LinkedIn, absolutely. I'm very active on LinkedIn under my name, ZsaVette Ellie Eze, and so feel free to reach out and, you know, ask questions, referrals, whatever you need. I will absolutely try and make myself available.
Great, thank you. I'll make sure to include her links in the show notes. You guys know how this is. You're find the link in the show notes, go and connect with them. All right, so what is it? Thank you for coming on to coming on to this episode and talking about your experience. What is a motivating and insightful quote that has helped you along your journey?
I would say, you know, choose your hard. Being a student is hard. Being a, you know, engineer is hard. Being an entrepreneur is hard. Relocating to a new city is hard. Continuing to stay in your hometown is hard. All of them are hard, but choose your heart. And then once you've chosen your heart, do the work to be the most successful version of yourself at that station. And then choose the next one.
Oh, okay. Like everything really is hard, okay? Like
It
no
is.
matter
It
what you
is. Yeah.
do. But thank you for coming on today's episode, and I really enjoyed this. I will have you back so we can talk about the Crown Act because I
Whatever else.
got to talk
Absolutely.
about it.
Thank you, Sean.
But thank you so much. And I'll make sure to include Azaz's information in the show notes and connect with her, reach out. Everyone I bring on the podcast is always super helpful and open. So we're going to keep that going. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in and hope you gain some knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to be insightful in technology.